Hello, everyone, and welcome to the YouTube Mall Builders Thursday Night General Hangout. Newcastle, mute your microphone. Thursday's Hangouts are for the general discussion on mall railroading, that we all can set a topic to discuss for the night. My name is Johnny Rev from Southeast Rails. Thursday's Hangouts are the proud sponsor of the YouTube Mall Builders EMAG and the YouTube Mall Builders live show, and also the Tuesday night presentations. You can go to youtubemallbuilders.com. There you can click on EMAG, live show, Tuesday night presentations. You'll be able to see the schedules for the Tuesday and the live show. The EMAG, you'll be able to sign up for a notification by email when it comes out. Very nice job on that. It's a really good magazine. And Thursday Hangouts, as you very well know, are every Thursday. All our shows are 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. So check your time zones. Make sure you got the time right so you won't be late for the show. But hey, if you're late, no worries. These shows are recorded, and you will find them on the YouTube Mall Builders YouTube site. They are in a playlist, so you click on the playlist, go find the show you want, or just sit there and have a marathon. Whatever you like to do. I want to say thanks for joining in tonight's show. And let's see who all we got on the panel tonight. We got Mr. Newcastle, Mr. Hillbilly, Mr. Hawks, and Mr. Andy. How y'all doing tonight? I haven't heard that in a long time. Doing good. There's yeah. How you doing, Mr. Hawks? Oh man. Let me guess, that's one of those Canadian phrases. Oh yeah, we got a few popping in. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm already starting out on a good foot here. Let me go back over here and turn another microphone on. Everybody's saying they can't hear nobody. And they're saying my volume's kind of low, so I'll pick it back up too a little bit. Alright, let's try this here, and let's see who we got over here in the chat. Got Mr. Mark, David, John, and David Start. Yep, how y'all doing tonight? And we got Michael. Well, what'd y'all think about last Saturday's special show with Kathy Millet?
I liked it.
Anybody watch it?
Yep. That was a pretty good episode.
Did you watch it live or recorded?
I had to watch it recorded.
I've watched it. I haven't started the Kathy Miller one yet. I'm still listening to the later show, with the track planner, with doing the budget thing. I was listening to. I'm watching that.
Yeah.
Right now.
Newcastle, you got to get a little closer to the microphone.
But now.
Yeah, it's a little better, thank you.
Yeah, that was a good show in general. She's just, I had to go back and watch some of it because I was kind of preoccupied with some of it. I kind of skipped over some of it, listened to the parts where I knew I kind of got busy. But that's a good show. She's a wealth of information. Of course, I watch all of her YouTube videos. She's a exceptional model.
We can't hear you, Newcastle.
Was she talking mostly about scenery?
You're talking what?
Kathy Miller, was she more interested
All right, we lost your volume.
Uh, maybe it's this. So, yeah,
You got to stand in front of the microphone. Yeah, Mr. James being shy, he's over in the chat. Did you watch it, Mr. Hawks?
Take that as a no.
I think we might have lost him. Okay.
what about there?
All right, that's better.
Okay, I changed the settings.
All right. Now, what was you saying, going?
Is she mostly interested? What was she talking about that night? Scenery, mostly.
Everything. I mean, what she's into modeling, she does like scenery. She does a lot of videos on scenery. You should go watch her YouTube channel. That's something I found. Everybody knew this was coming up, but a lot of people hadn't watched her YouTube channel. So it's a good exposure to our community for her YouTube channel, for her too, because her YouTube channel is exceptional. And a lot of it is scenery focused. She's very artistic, but she talks a lot about painting and modeling. She's doing her most recent video that came out.
Yeah, I was turning how to turn plaster into wood.
Yep.
I never watch her YouTube videos. I subscribe to her, though I never watch it.
I like it.
I'm always busy.
Hers are some of the best YouTube videos out there. I mean, they're well produced and very entertaining. And she talked to, Johnny asked her some questions about that too.
That I did watch a couple of them. Now I remember one of them. One or two. I think that's why I subscribed.
But it was a good show. It was full of information. Filled up a pretty good amount of time with a single person interview. But she's very interesting. A wealth of information as a modeler. So,
what was she modeling?
she models the New Haven branch in the 50s. I can't remember exactly what year. If she said, if she may not be that specific, but I think it's in the late 50s. It was like 56 or something. But it's a branch of the New Haven called Mill Valley, something like that.
Was it one train a day branch or multiple?
Well, she has kind of a more serious mainline that has a port that has multiple ports. It has coal docks. It has floats, and it's like 3 docks, seaport docks, and then a city scene with a street with a viaduct with 2-track across a viaduct, and then she has a branch that comes off from it that goes up to an upper deck. So no, it's busy enough that it would provide enough interesting modeling. But
is she into operations at all, or is it just scenery?
No, it's just running trains. We talked about that because I was interested in the British take on, because she's a British modeler, of course, on the British take on operations. They just don't operate like we do in the States. It's quite uncommon.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to layouts. I'm having fun.
Well, but you've got to look at modelers for all different reasons. I mean, if you're just because you're into operations, don't mean that you can forego paying attention to people who do good track work or who build really nice passenger cars or who do great trees, because you need all of it to build a complete layout. But so I look at her stuff for scenery and paint and weathering tips.
Yeah.
Yeah, she uses a lot of different chalks on her weathering too. That very talented.
Yeah, that, and she likes to use military paints too.
Yeah, the washes, like the Big and Vallejo washes.
Yeah.
And she spends a lot of time explaining.
I got the camera off of you, Andy.
Pardon me?
I got the camera off of you. I just.
Oh, ain't no big deal. I just turned off the top.
But she doesn't do any operations, even though it looks like it could be something interesting with operations.
They just don't. British modelers, they do some European in general. It's not to say that none of them operate, but very rarely do they operate. They're not into operations. It's not a thing. However, I would have to say that per capita or on average, the European modelers that I see far supersede or are far better than the average American modelers. But operations is a more American centric thing than what you see in the foreign modelers.
What about also Canada? You got Canada. See, I've seen a lot of operating layout videos.
Oh yes,
Canada.
absolutely. Yep. Especially around Ottawa, what they call the Canadian Mafia or Maple
Yep.
Leaf Mafia. Sorry, Maple Leaf
Yeah,
Mafia.
that's
Those guys.
what's that guy's that does that YouTube video? Something CL.
CNLVN.
Yeah.
CNLVN. He does a series on one of my favorite layouts in the world, which is Bill Scobie's
DNA.
SN3 layout.
Yeah.
It is an incredible layout. He's the guy who's got me. I mean, I've been curious about narrow gauge for a long time. That's why I real closely follow Troy's work. I mean, not to mention Troy's work's just great anyway. Hand laying track, Craftsman structures, multi deck with smart electronics and good lighting, and the theater look, the shadow box or theater look with the valance and fascia. So I mean, I respect Troy's modeling, considerably anyway. But the narrow gauge, I just have a lot of respect for narrow gauge. I mean, it's all steam, it's all man and machine against nature, which I think is just the epitome of awesome to model. But his SN3 layout, I'm just fascinated by.
Yeah, Big Bill had a comment. He said that she stated that most British maulers do not have the room like we do in North America when y'all were talking about the size.
Yeah, she says that, and I agree. I'm sure that's true. I mean, their house size and stuff are smaller, but I think size tends to be I don't know the right way to say this. I think that tends to be they're just not interested in operations a lot. I think people a lot of times have this mistaken opinion that size says something about how operatable a layout is. But
Yeah, that's totally wrong. There's been a couple articles in my railroader about or different magazines, different articles actually online on the Mara Hobbyist. Look at what's a good small layout operation?
look at Big Bill's layout, since he's the one who brought the comment up. That's a relatively small layout. It's a small room layout. It's smaller than my layout. And that railroad would be infinitely fun to operate with 2 or 3 people. I mean, just all kinds of a blast to run that railroad. So I don't think that size has to be the controlling factor for operations in general. Admittedly, it's very hard to do certain kind of operations like timetable and trade order. That requires a certain size railroad.
Yeah, the best layout I think I've ever seen online doing timetable and train orders in a small room is at Port Ron branch, Travis Marshall.
And that's a small railroad, yes, but that's a single trade railroad.
He runs two to three. It's passenger train and extra. Extra mostly common, and he runs 2 days during an operating session. I always thought that is the best. If you're doing an industrial park layout or a railroad, that's the best way to do a single train day layout. That's the best way to have an operating session. Model 2 different days during sessions.
Yeah, it's not bad on a small railroad that doesn't have a lot of operations, or that the amount of time it takes to get from one side of the railroad to another. That's one way to do it. If you don't have enough activity to keep people busy, then stretch the time out. But operations is a part of the hobby. It's a part of the hobby that I like. But there's a lot of parts to the hobby. And just because someone's not in operations, there's still plenty to enjoy. I mean, the British modelers are some of the best modelers out there. And they're not in operations a lot, but they're enjoying their hobby. So hard to argue with that.
Yeah. Look at my I go to this one guy's land. His land. He actually is G scale, and one thing he's not in operation though. One of the things he was what was really cool about that is all his cars were remote control. I pretty much almost every single car. Maybe some were diorama. Probably most of them, though. A lot of them were remote control, and he actually had those cars running around the roads and trains running around loops.
All right, I'm gonna jump in here real fast. Too fast, too track. Yeah, I couldn't explain to you why Newcastle keeps cutting in and out. A lot of times he is on his iPhone, but tonight he's not. He's actually on, I think, a laptop.
No, I'm on a I'm on a computer. I got this old. I bought this at a garage sale. This old mic. It's like a computer like you see in offices.
Yeah, because even if you're on your phone, Newcastle, you still cut in and out. I have no idea why.
It might be because of the internet.
You know.
I was thinking you were just sitting in a rocking chair.
Oh yes, I was actually. Though actually I am.
Every time
Yeah.
you rock toward us, it sounds good.
Yeah, that's the reason why I keep telling you, you gotta be right there at the mic.
Okay, I am like it's a wearable mic.
Yeah, you faded out. I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Uh,
Yeah, I make some educated guesses about what he's saying. So, but
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
what was that guy talking about with signals? That was kind of interesting. Did he ask a question or did he say something about them? He said something.
Let me get back up here and see.
they
That was Michael L. He says, "Hey guys, what signal brand do you like the best?"
Yeah, I'm assuming he's talking about uh, the actual signal structures themselves. And I'm using NJ International for the few that I can buy that are pre-made. But I bought NJ International targets or aspects, they call them, to build the rest of my custom signals out of. But Oregon Rail Supply is not bad. I think I haven't measured it, so I can't tell you for sure. But they look like they're a little out of scale to me, like they're a little too large. But that should be okay for most people.
yeah
And custom signals I think it's customsignals.com or something. But if you search for custom signals, they're one of the top hits. They custom make some stuff, and they have PRR, a Pitsy, and some of the other ones. There's a few out there that are kind of oddballs, but NJ International and Oregon Rail Supplies are your big boys.
because it's pretty limited for O scale for my type of signal head. Do have an MTH signal. Like I like it though. The signal heads are big. That's one problem. The signal bridge is big. Though I've also used Z stuff. I'm kind of like it. I kind of don't. For signals to add the diverging signal, like how I'm going to do it. I use Plasticville signal bridge. I really like those, even though the signal heads off of those for more modern, like a modern style traffic light signal.
Yeah, Z stuff. I've mentioned them in like the Signals magazine that I wrote an article for. I mentioned them. If you're only looking at the scenery value of signals, I think they're great. For an operational layout, they're missing a lot of the key things required for how they operate. But if all you want is signals that turn red every now and then, so you get the scenery value of it, Z stuff are awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut. When I'm looking at budget wise, I'm mostly going to use that for the Pensy top signal, and use the regular signal for the little bottom signal. That Plasticville, I'm going to customize, pretty much kit bash a Z stuff signal.
Yeah, it's the electronics. The signals look fine. It's the electronics that are fine for a lot of people, but for my purposes, they're not operational enough. But it all depends. Are you trying to run your railroad with it, or are you trying to get are you trying to get the scenic value of a signal turning red every now and then?
I'm trying to run the railroad with it.
Me too.
Why have a signal system? Why spend the money for it? I know maybe few signals if you're just doing display running, maybe a couple miles or something. Like just have one signal on the railroad or two, just for looks. So have a full signals at every control point. Why don't do it for operations?
Yep. Yeah, like we're saying, a lot of people don't operate, so they don't need all electronics. But if you're going to operate, that takes a lot more. That's why Barry's doing the show, talking a lot about signals and how to do it right, because it's not easy. It's not easy being
Yeah.
cheap. It takes some work.
Yeah, I'm doing it all with tortoises and relays, like the prototype did.
I don't think the prototype used tortoises, but I'll give you credit for trying.
It's not like I'm gonna take tortoise switch machines and take them out to the, or a tortoise actual tortoise to switch.
I'd be upset if I ever got a chance to get out with a signal crew and climb around in a relay shack and I see a bunch of tortoise switch machines in there. I'd be really disappointed.
No, actually, they use servos.
See, smart guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Barry's the one sold me on using servos. I mean, it's just I've used tortoises at I've always used them. I used to use solenoids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at RC servos a while back.
Yeah, Chris Healy's the one you want to get a hold of. He designed a really nice holder for the servos to mount up under your layout.
Yes, 3D printed.
Yeah, he's having them 3D printed.
You can take his sketch. Actually, you shouldn't even have to take his sketch. If he sends them to Shapeways, you can just order them from Shapeways. They'll be printed to his sketch. That's really awesome.
Yeah, I think that's what he's doing. Send it off to Shapeways.
There's cheaper 3D printers out there, but Shapeways is really good.
Yeah, we got a group of girls here south of Atlanta. They opened up a 3D printing company.
Huh.
It's called Cat's Paw. Cat
All right.
spelled with a K instead of a C.
Yeah.
And for the size operation they got, she's got a pretty good selection. She does O scale.
Really?
Somebody sends her a drawing or whatever, she scales it first in O scale, and then she'll resize it for S, HO, and N scale.
I need to get some information from you on them then. I was just thinking they were doing, general purpose, not specifically railroad specific, but, a lot of the guys that get into a lot of 3D printing, they kind of get in with one of the 3D printing companies, and Shapeways is hard to do that with, but, a person could get in with them and have all their work sent to them. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that again. That's fascinating. I mean, it costs...
you can just Google Cat's Paw.
With a K, yep.
Yeah, I think it's catspaw.com. Check out the website. I think most of everything on the website is shown in O scale, but when you place an order, you just tell them what scale you're in. If you want it in S, HO, or N. There are some things in N scale because she doesn't have the big commercial machines that she still has a problem trying to print because of the small size.
Yeah.
But,
commercial speed.
She's done campfires, other accessories, camping picnic tables, buckets, barrels. I think she's done some shovels, brooms, all kinds of stuff.
Somebody was telling me about somewhere I could buy laser etched. Oh, GB, it was Cal's. Anyway, it was whoever. Laser etched in wood barrels with metal bands on them in HO scale. So that's the way to do that. But there's a lot of things that 3D printing is absolutely perfect for. But those big commercial printers are like $100,000. So
yeah.
I'm not buying one of those this year.
No, I mean her machines don't cost that much, but she's paying a fairly pretty penny for hers.
You do a lot with a few $1,000 machine. I mean, no question.
I think her machines are somewhere between 8,000-10,000.
Sure. I mean, you can do exceptional work with a machine that size. They call them rapid prototyping machines, but you can do a lot. It's these little $300-400 desktop machines that everybody dreams of modeling from, and I think they're fairly difficult to do good modeling with because the quality of the print is just not hardly there for small scales. You know, Miles does some 3D printing. Miles Hale does some 3D printing at O scale, and it's good, but he's working at O scale. So it's a lot more forgiving.
Well, you know, I mean, some people, I think Miles even said that that little small one it's got about a 6-inch square base.
Yeah, yeah.
That he's used it for doing detail parts, or if he need to replace a part on one of his loco shells or something, he can do it there. And I think some of these people that have those are, you know, like in HO, or printing out part of the shell so they can modify the loco shell for, you know, to better meet their needs for their layout.
Yeah, Luke Towan had a video a few weeks ago about $160 or $70 printer. It's a kit. You've got to assemble it, but it's like $160. It's a 3D printer kit, and and for certain things that are not very smooth, it's perfect for. He printed a agricultural water tank. You know, one of those that's kind of a corrugated plastic. I don't know if you call it corrugated, but for lack of a better word, it's, you know, ribbed in some way. And it was pretty good for that task. It looked really good on camera anyway.
Yeah, it was corrugated. Like really, if I was to buy anything, it'd be either the laser or something I could convert between laser and a cutter.
Yeah, I want a laser.
Are you there, Mr. Hawks?
Yes, I am.
So how's your refinery coming?
I can't wait to get it finished.
About piped out.
No, I'd say it's pretty well. I mean, the build is finished. Now I'm working on the ground, the ground level, like to make it look like dirty earth.
Yeah,
so I can install the tanks on top of it. And then I just realized that I can't install the refinery until I get my backdrop, because all those chimneys are going to be in the way.
Yeah.
So, but most of the stuff is like all the piping is ready. I just have to connect them to the tank, connect them to the refinery. It's pretty much done. Now I'm working on the propane. And as I was listening to you guys, I was doing some decalcs. So my as soon as I can finish the refinery and propane, I'll get back to work on the layout.
Yeah, did you get the lights in on the refinery?
Oh yeah, everything is nice. I even got inside the furnace. I put some lights inside, yellow, orange, and red.
Oh, cool.
And they kind of flash, so it looks like the furnace is really outgoing.
So I was going to ask you is if you had an effect. How did you control the lighting? Did you use one of the control boards that does the flashing?
No, I just bought one of those lights from China.
Yeah, sure.
And yeah, it's a red flashing light, a yellow flashing light, orange, and somehow they're not in sync. So you'll see orange and red together, and then suddenly, whoops, you get yellow and orange together.
Good.
So it looks pretty good.
Success is the only measure, brother. You don't get credit for how expensive it was in this hobby. You know, you get, if it's a good effect, it's a good effect.
Yeah. I should have put like some type of something inside the furnace so that the lights are not, the lights are not touching the wall, but I mean, you could see it's a light. I should have put some probably like a diffusing glass or something like that.
Yeah, frosted, some kind of frosted material or something. Yeah. That's not hard to do either, though. You take a piece of acetate and sand it, and to get a frosted effect that diffuses the light. I mean, it's not a piece of clear plastic.
Yeah. But the thing is, all my stuff is glued already. I don't feel like taking it apart.
I can understand that. Nobody said it was supposed to be easy.
No.
Well, maybe one day somebody will come up with a way to put it in there. It won't be too difficult.
Oh, I gotta say, it's not my my thinking. Is I saw this on YouTube where this guy had put one light in. So I decided to put three. No, I've got 5 lights inside.
Now that Lauren something from Australia that does a lot of the animation and robotics. He does those the fireboxes in his locomotives, and he does some kind of flashing multicolor lights in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a that's a fascinating effect. It seems to work really, really convincingly.
Yeah, I think that's Laurie McLean, isn't it?
But yeah, that's his last name.
Yeah.
I always want to say McLean or something, but yeah, that guy. He does incredible work anyway. So
Well, McLean, that's probably coming from MASH, ain't it?
I think you might be right.
No, I was looking at. I did search to see if how to make animated figurines.
What'd you come up with?
I didn't find anything.
Look at
Right.
Laurie McLean. Go back
Yeah.
to Laurie McLean's site and go back to some of his early stuff.
Yeah, but I was looking for the how-to.
He's done a little bit of video showing how he does it. He showed some of the gear mechanisms that he's using under the table, etc. It showed some of the mechanism. It's not exactly a step-by-step, but you could pretty easily take what he does show you about it, reverse engineer it, and do it. I would say that he's the guy doing the hard work of figuring out animatronics in our hobby. However, what he's doing right now is still a little bear band from that kid's pizza joint, Chuck E. Cheese. It's kind of a little bear band from Chuck E. Cheese for me right now. It's still early though, and I'm sure it's going to do nothing but get better.
What's his name?
Lord, tell it, Johnny.
Yeah, okay. McLean.
Yeah,
McLean. Okay.
Lauren McLean. Yeah, he's exceptional. He was doing HO scale, had a really nice HO scale layout in a building, and he's HOA 3, Colorado narrow gauge, US Colorado narrow gauge. But he's now doing OED 3. He was already building some modules in that. I followed along, and he's just exceptional modeler. He's just exceptional modeler.
Well, I'll go check it out.
Yeah, he's one of the must watch on YouTube channels. There's, I give Kathy Millet one of those spots too. Must watch channel. Hers is exceptional. His is one of the exceptional ones.
Yeah, you noticed she came out with a new video.
Uh,
Making plastic look like wood on that scale house.
Yep, I watched that one yesterday or whatever. I think about yesterday. Yep, she did good. It looked really good. Just a lot of people just have better luck with plastic than I do. I don't know why. I just, not a big fan of plastic. I'm just not good with it. I used to. That's all I used for years. I built every kit were plastic kits.
Yeah.
But this time around, I started building wood right away. And now when I try to build a plastic kit, it's like, I don't know. It's like I'm having to unlearn.
Greg Hines. They make 3D printers that you can add a laser to.
Yeah. There's several that are. There's wood that Miles was talking about for a while that can do CNC with the equivalent of what a dribble is. It's a rotary tool. I don't think it's actually using a dribble, but it's a rotary tool that will do CNC milling, that will do laser cutting. The head will do laser cutting, and it'll do 3D printing on a single control armature, on a single, XY axis controller. But you're talking $2,400, whereas you could buy an okay laser cutter for 7 or 8. Laser cutters right up my alley. Of course, I think I'll buy a Cricut first and start playing with it. But I've been talking about buying one for 2 years and haven't yet. So,
Oh wow, look who's here. Dude. How you doing?
dude,
Yeah, Mr. Dude, Crooked Finger.
wow.
Railroad.
Well, how about that? That's good news. We were getting worried about you, dude.
Yeah. I'm still assuming that you still don't have a working mic and camera, huh?
He's got internet via smoke signal, I think.
What's the discussion time?
About as long as Johnny can put up with me. However long that is.
Yeah.
I guess it is getting to be about that time. Fishing's about over. About time to put the boat away. Time to get back to the basement, brother.
Oh, he's on his phone. You'll have to come in on a hangout some night. I'd like to be able to talk to you again. General topic, just as long as it's railroading. That's all we're discussing. You'll have to come in and see us one night during the week. There's been a little change here. I know you noticed that on how we're doing the shows now. What's up, Lee?
Hey, Lee. Just getting started. Just getting started. I'm not buying it, dude. You're not a newbie, brother.
Well, Mr. Hillbilly.
Yes, sir. And how are we doing tonight? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I was, I'm still learning how to operate with 2 monitors now. That's the reason why you keep seeing me look over here to the right.
Oh, I wish I was just getting the best side of you.
You are. So how's the progress going on yours?
Well, I was off for about 3.5 weeks because I had hand surgery.
Yeah.
Just been working on this bridge.
How's it coming?
I am attempting to take a piece of flex track that is 24 inches long and mount it to the 6 pieces of individual track that you got to join. And then you get to bend the post over, well, the nails or spikes, it would be, onto the rails and hold it. Each individual one. And there's a snot load of them. I don't know if my camera will pick them up or not.
Well,
That's
trying that, Greg. Yeah, everybody's got the cameras turned off. They're really not doing too much right now, so. And sometimes I tend to highlight somebody and then forget to turn it off. So they turn the camera off.
That's that Central Valley kit you're talking about. It's on their top plates. I used a nail punch, a real small nail punch, just not with a hammer, obviously, but to push those down. That worked better for me.
That's what I got.
Yeah, it works good. I think they even recommend that, or either that or I got the idea somewhere else, but somebody told me to do it that way. It worked great.
Wrong way. Okay, these little plates that are right here. I don't know if you'll be able to see them. But right here is where all your little spikes are.
Yeah.
And you've literally got to lay your track. Let's see if I can do this. Lay your track down inside that groove very gently and make sure it's straight. And start bending over those posts. And you got to work from your center out. That way you got an even pull.
Are you adhering the rail down with anything else, or just the spikes?
I'm going to see how it acts first. They say you don't have to because these are little metal tips.
Yeah. You don't have to, but I would use contact cement. That's what a lot of people do. That's how I lay my track as well, is I use contact cement. If you use a little contact cement on the bottom of the rails, it will set up really quickly and adhere them down, and then use the spikes for that extra support.
True. I might do that. But the fun part is one of these slides right out of a piece of flex track. The other side you've got to cut out.
Yeah, you got to destroy it on most, or on Atlas Flex Track you do. Or microengineering, both rails are hard to get out, but they will come out.
So that's all I have been doing. They split me from here to here on both hands. But they're doing good.
Good.
But they told me to take it easy, not to use my hands or anything like that. So
Not do real fine work like laying track rails.
yeah, exactly. But I figure if you take your time and detail it as you go, it saves a whole lot of headache.
Absolutely.
Because like I've rusted these rails. I don't know if you can see the difference or not. This one here is shiny. This one here is dull. I'm using dark rust.
Whose paint are you using? What are you using?
Vallejo.
Oh, Vallejo. Yeah.
Yeah, Vallejo model
I
wash.
love that paint. It's different. It's a peculiar paint. It's something to get used to, but I really like it.
Oh yeah, once you figure out how it works and how it lays,
Yeah.
you got it made.
It's so fine, but it's different than using the old scale coats or polyscales. I was really fond of polyscale, but it's a different technique to apply.
Yeah, I found out on like buildings and railroad cars to take very, very light coats.
Yep.
That way you can bring it out. Don't break, don't bend. What did I do? Forget one? Nope. And now I got ties for Phil. But I'll tell you what, it's been an adventure on this thing. I'm not gonna lie. I'll do them all day long now.
Can somebody spell Laurie McLean right for Tony? I know I'll mess it up. So
Don't ask me. I mispronounce it. So
I hear you.
somebody's
got
got the
it.
website they posted over in the chat for him.
yeah, I'll go find a subscription in a few minutes and post it.
Yeah.
Come on, help
Well-
these old men out.
The first letter is L.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's LAU, isn't it?
Yeah. Lauren's not the part I mess up. I just keep forgetting what his last name is. But Lauren normally finds it for me when I feel like looking at it.
Here, Johnny. I tried to install a camera to show you my refinery. Hope I.
All right, let me get my cursor back over here on this other monitor. All righty, got you up there.
Oh, dude, that looks nice.
There.
Yeah, that's real nice.
Outstanding work.
Now you gonna
Thank you.
put any white lights outside? You know, like floodlights or anything, or?
Well, I've got all the lights here
Yeah, on the stacks. Yeah.
on the stacks. There's lights, but I'm not going to put any lights on the tanks. Too late. And you've got.
Yeah, but you're too late, Johnny.
Yeah.
And
I'm
here's
always
my.
late.
And that's what I'm working on now, the propane area.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Those are Walther's propane tanks.
Or Rick.
Yeah, they are. No. Well, the big one, yes. Those two in the back. Oh, geez.
We're looking at the refinery.
Okay, here, those two are from. What is it? European. It's Aral. Aria kit, I think.
Oh, okay. Now,
Oh, there's a bunch of.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
asking about propane tanks. Were those the Walthers?
Oh yeah, it's yeah.
And the office building, is that a Rick's?
No, it came with the propane.
Oh, did it? Oh, okay. Oh, you bought that full kit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I bought two of them really, because I had enough space to put the two of them, like 4 tanks.
Yeah, Rick's makes a pretty nice parts of a fuel facility. They don't have a complete kit like Walters does, but they make some pretty good looking tanks, and they make some good office complex buildings associated with it. But Plasticville also makes not Plasticville. Josh has got me messed up. I can't remember. Anyway, they make some blue plastic metal industrial buildings. But
The hard part is having to connect all the tanks, because they've got a plan. They tell you how to do it, but the thing is, the area that I have, it doesn't work. So I have to cut all the little pipes here, just to make sure I do my own route.
Yeah.
remember when I said it ain't supposed to be easy?
Oh, it's not.
That's it.
If you look at the refinery, where is it? I think the best way is to do it this way. If you look at the tank work, all the tanks are connected, but just having to design the pipe work to make sure that it all fits at the right place it's a real nice puzzle.
Yeah. That's the fascinating part about it, though, is all that pipe work. So that really is what brings the scene together, makes it fascinating. At least in my mind, that's the part that I find so fascinating about it, is all that overtrack piping, etc.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so where do you offload those tank cars at, or load them up? I see the bridge over.
Oh, that's because all this part. Oh, hold on. All this part here.
Yeah.
Is part of the refinery, which is not done yet.
Oh, okay, okay.
Get him, Johnny. Put him to work.
Yeah.
I've got two. Hold on, I'll just.
Thank you, Prof. Professor. I appreciate you putting the
I did.
correct spelling up. Go ahead.
Here, do you see
Yeah, I
the?
forgot to ask anyway. Prof got no, got lard.
I've got two of those.
Yeah.
The unloading. This one is broken, so I got to order another kit. Yeah, so it's going to be almost 4 weeks that I've been working on the refinery alone.
Yeah.
That's the theme of the night. We got to call this show. This nobody said it was going to be easy show. And a lot of those are big complexes, and those really important ones like chemistry, like you know, like what Phil's going to do. With all his now chemical plant, all that piping. That's another thing.
Yeah, Professor here says Laurie McLean YouTube account is Scoop MMR. Putting down more weeds or tall grass.
Yeah, I got this whole front edge of the layout that should be basically all tall grass. It's the only way. I mean, there's more trees here on the prototype, but you can't see to align the water spout. There's water towers go here, so you wouldn't be able to see to align the water towers if I didn't. I'm gonna put a few trees in there, but and this is the first time I've ever put it down with that tacky glue, which is proving to be a lot easier to work with than the Super 77 was.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because you'd already used that for your trees, making trees, right?
Yeah, I've used it for that. It works. It's exceptional. I'm sold on it. It's the way to do it. It's much better than 77. It's a lot better than hairspray, which I have okay success with hairspray, but it takes a lot of work to make hairspray work good. You got to do it in layers, and it takes 4 or 5 coats to get it. And the best success I've had with hairspray is using a heat gun at the same time and heating the hairspray in midair. But that's it's complicated. So this Aleene's gives me the same benefit of the hairspray. It's clean. It doesn't frost over the trucks, the areas that I'm not covering in flocking. What I like about the Aleene, this over 77, of course, it's cleaner, puts down a cleaner surface, but it also tacks faster. It's almost tacky for the moment you put it down. Whereas with 77, you've got to give it a couple minutes and you've got to time it right. So when you put it down, you got about 3 minutes until it tacks. And then you've got about 3 to 7 minutes to work with it, and then it gets too thick to take. It's fine for some things, but for it to hold the grass that's right in your hand, it won't tack. It won't hold it. So this stuff tacks right away. The working time's not as fast. It's not as quick. It dries quicker, but you don't have to time it just right to start tacking. Whereas the 77, you kind of got to watch it. It's kind of, it's got some trick to it. Now this yellow grass is a lot easier to work with because I'll go back and airbrush this some colors. I put some green down too. I've got it, and the bottom should be pretty green. It's down by a river. So.
Yeah, Professor's got on here. No, hairspray makes brand new layouts smell great.
Yeah.
And then he also has here. You can tell the layouts making their debut at exhibitions, which have literally just been finished. They smell like glue and hairspray.
Yeah, man. It's a good smell. It's like the new car smell of layouts. I thought it was supposed to be unscented, but it's not. They don't have such a thing. But yeah, this stuff's good. This is really good glue. I'm really pleased with this. The workability of this
Well,
stuff.
I tell you what, I'm going to have to give your wife a call and
Oh,
tell
God.
her I just found a way of keeping you busy.
Oh, she don't have a problem keeping me.
That would be spraying your fingers with the Allen's tacky glue.
Yeah, yeah, this stuff's fun, and I waste a bit of grass too, but oh well. Yeah, it tacks up on you. But if you don't waste some of it, then you get some clumps in your material, and I end up having to cut them out. Which after this all dries up and everything, I'll use a beard trimmer or whatever, a facial hair groomer contraption on it. But so you have to waste some or it clumps up on you, something awful.
Yeah.
And I sat there and cut it all up, glue it down. But I can't find a static grass applicator. Okay, yeah, if I bought a dock or something, it probably would. But the one that I made will not put down grass this tall. So I need that one you were talking about, that 50,000 volts.
Yeah.
Help keep my Wi-Fi in line too, so it's multi-purpose. But it would do it. But this, if you're gonna put down this grass, it's like, somewhere around 10 mil. It's actually a little longer than 10 mil, but I'm going to cut it down to around 10 mil. Yeah. So, that might be a little tall.
Well,
yeah, 10 mil.
Professor's got down here, Johnny. You going to call Andy's wife and let her know where all her hairspray went?
I'm my own. She's the one stealing my supplies all the time. She's in here convinced I had stolen her batting for whatever, like you put in a quilt or something. But I bought my very own. I see a modeler who had used batting to make some quick hillsides. So I was thinking about trying some of that. So I bought me a bag of batting. So when I build this temporary section going into the peninsula, I'm just going to build a rough frame and wrap that batting over the silhouette, that quilting, and then soak it down with a really soupy mixture of that scenery goop I use with no vermiculite in it, just latex pipe paper mache, and thicken that batting up, and then come back with a coat that has some vermiculite in it so it has some grip.
You're going to build the peninsula, temporary, and then tear it down again?
No, I'm gonna build it permanently, but all the scenery on it is going to be. It just takes. It's about time. Time is the problem. I want to get it. I want to get things happening fairly quick, and I don't want it to look unscenic. One of the things I love about styrofoam and scenery goop is very early in the process, it looks like something other than, trains running on elevated track. It don't look like, a Plywood Pacific Railroad on spline road bed or cookie cutter road bed looks like Chicago with no buildings, all the tracks on it. I don't want that. So I figured I could build a peninsula, and I may even keep it that way, because my goal is to not build the peninsula with solid styrofoam. It's just too much styrofoam. It costs hundreds of dollars in styrofoam. So I'm just going to take half-inch styrofoam, cut silhouettes in it, and coat it. Coat it in that scenery goop.
And do the screens, what I'm going to do on the one mountain. I showed you those pictures.
Yep, and I had thought about using screen, and I might. It's not a question, but I bought a piece of that batting, quilt batting, to try it. The batting gives you a couple things. So if you use screen and put the scenery goop over top of it, then I was thinking I'd come back on the inside of it, spray a little bit of spray foam on it, and smooth it out, wipe it off with some latex gloves, because that stuff sticks to you like crazy. And so I would have some styrofoam. So when I stick my tree armatures into it, they would have something to stick into. But with that batting, if you'll soak that batting up in a thin mixture of scenery goop, you would have an inch or so of thickness, something like that, of some netting and some latex material to hold the tree armature up. So it's an experiment, like everything else I try.
Isn't just putting glue, the ground goop you have, if you just use ground goop and just stick it in with the glue, with some glue or something, wouldn't that keep it whole?
You just got to have enough thickness to hold the armature up. When you stick a tree into it that has a pin on the end of it or something, that's an inch long or something. If you stick it through just screen wired plaster or screen wired scenery goop, there's only a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 inch of actual material there. There's nothing there to keep it from pitching, from whopping around. So if I had, some material, some scenery goop or some styrofoam or something for the tree to go into that will keep it vertical or keep it from pitching, then it would be much, So I like the idea of that batting for that reason. Colorado Joint Line YouTube channel. He's been on the Hangout before. He was on a live show a couple times. Really nice guy. Good model. Doing some pretty good modeling. But he did a section of his layout, and he rough cut some styrofoam underneath it. Although I'm just going to build the silhouette forms, I think. And then he used that batting and soaked it in latex paint. But I think I'm going to add some paper mache to it. So instead of it being scenery goop, it's just latex and paint, latex paint and paper mache. But I don't know. I don't know how it'll work. But, I've got a peninsula that's 11 feet by 6.5 feet. And the mountains, and that's how it changes decks. So the mountains there are close to 3 foot tall. So that's hundreds of dollars in styrofoam, but a lot of labor to shape styrofoam. Whereas I can just take 1/2 inch styrofoam, cut some uprights, and then lay that stuff on it. And I'm not even going to staple it down or anything to the styrofoam. I'm just going to, put some of the, I think, I'm going to try, just either hot glue or either just put that material over top of it and then coat it in that latex paint and paper mache and let that be the adhesive and everything. So it seems like if it works, it'll be a very easy way to very quickly get 3-4 foot tall mountains on a big area at the cost of 4 or 5 packs of quilt matting, which is $25 and a bucket of paint. For $50, you got a peninsula covered in brown.
Yeah. What? Just a question. If you're using the ground coop I've never used it. I'm gonna try it when I do some more styrofoam mountains. So once you do the screens, if you did screens, would it start coming through it, or when it's still wet, or?
Not if you make it thick enough. So I make it different consistencies. I don't. And Jimmy on here, he's used it some, and he built a formula for it, which there actually is one. Lou Sassy originally had one part this, one part this, one part this, half part this, whatever. Whereas I kind of mix mine by eye, depending on the particular use that I intend to use it for. So I'll mix it thinner if it's going on flat surfaces or smoother surfaces or going to make a road or something. I'll make it fairly thin, and I won't put much vermiculite. But then on these fairly sharp slopes here, on this section, the back slopes, I put quite a bit of vermiculite in it so that the dirt and stuff will stick to it. So I'll just mix it, I mix it different thicknesses. So if I was going on screen wire, I'd mix it with less paint and virtually no water, so it had some body to it, so it had some thickness. But if we're going in that matting, I'll make it quite thin so it can soak in. So it's very flexible.
Andy,
so,
have you tried to do like goop with sawdust?
I haven't, not with sawdust. I have a fascination with one idea though. Homosote. All this waste that we have off Homosote. I mean, this paper mache stuff doesn't look that far removed from Homosote dust. It looks like Homosote dust. I mean, I'm sure it has something else in it. I mean, I hope it does when it costs $30 a bag. But it looks like Homosote dust.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can cut up a sheet of Homosote and get a dump truck full of sawdust. It's like, one sheet makes a lot more cubic square inches of area than the Homosote originally came in. It's amazing how much sawdust comes out of that stuff.
Yeah, Jim can tell you that.
Yeah. eBay's cut it up. I'll not tell you how much. It's a lot. So.
Well, I know I've got 5 gallons of sawdust when I was building part of the layout, and I tried using that on under the refinery to make it look like a bit of grass, and it really looks like grass, like the flattened grass.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
Yeah, that's what I do with my layout. I dye all my sawdust.
Well, and sawdust, and I'm not exactly fond of sawdust actually going on the surface, but this vermiculite, which it's a it's a mineral product. It's particulate. But the point of the vermiculite is it soaks up some of the chemicals or some of the latex and the paint, the moisture, which sawdust would do. It gives it texture so it can grip together. And so that, and most importantly for me, because you don't have to use the vermiculite, it's an entirely optional consideration. And I don't sometimes, or I use very, very little sometimes. But on the steeper surfaces, it gives you some texture so that the overlayments of scenery will have something to stick to. I don't see why sawdust wouldn't replicate that same purpose, though. And use it up. Now, in O scale, I'm not so sure that sawdust is a bad idea, but in HO scale, pretty typically sawdust is too coarse. Even pretty fine sawdust is typically too coarse for finished scenery, or in my mind.
My next experiment is I got some wood shavings, and I'm going to paint them, make them look like I'm experimenting, get them look like rust and like old stuff, like put in my scrapyard as a base.
Yeah, because you get little square shavings and squirrely shavings that look like same kind of cuts that you get off from steel cuts. So
yeah, I'm gonna have a scrapyard. I might put a little bit in steel mill just as a base, and then put like wheels and different stuff and different little actual metal pieces or plastic pieces over top of it.
and there's a company called Vector Cut that makes just incredible laser etched wood parts. They have the desk. I ordered a desk for my interlocking tower. I'd wanted one for a long time, and I ordered a little roll top desk, desk with the back portion where you put ladders and stuff. That's what I've always seen in these interlocking towers. Is they have those, and they have that scissor phone. It's just what the pictures look like. So I wanted one of those for this. Vector Cut has that, but they also have several kits that come with gears and wheels and pulleys and armatures and wrenches and just parts that you could use to build a scrap heap with. You wouldn't want to pile them up underneath, but if you piled up a bunch of squirrely wood shavings and painted it rusty colors and then stuck some of those gears on top, you'd really have something.
Yeah, but what I was thinking, remember the clinic, also about budgeting the clinic though. But I have like little pieces where I accidentally clamp my wires to. I clamp them and they come off. I clamped them too much or did different stuff, or they fell off after use. And I'm just gonna use little wire clips, different stuff, just little metal pieces, whatever, throw it in there.
Do spell the layouts. That was funny.
Well, gentlemen, I am going to back out of here. Appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, Scott, we appreciate you being here too.
Good to see you as always. Another fellow country boy.
I hear you, brother.
Glad to see your hands are doing better.
Me too.
Yeah, my son goes
Definitely.
in Tuesday for his second hip replacement, so
You
he's
never
looking
know
forward
who
to
your
that.
friends are until you have both hands done at the same time.
I was worried about you doing that when you said you were having both. That was just, it's like, boy, you got a good wife.
You ain't lying, brother. I love that woman to death. But y'all have a good evening, and I'll see you on this tomorrow evening.
All right, Scott, be good.
Okay. Bye, Scott.
So this weekend I'm going chase the 765 or the 767 because of the anniversary on the Kayak Valley Steam Railroad.
What's the 767? 765 is that old nickel plate bird.
Yeah. Yes. So what's the story about it is because the 765 was a popular engine of the crews or the engine crew. They stored it in the roundhouse, and remember the 767 was the engine that did the first run through the new bridge system for Fort Wayne to leave the traffic. A long time ago, they did a elevated section. 767 was the anniversary engine, the first engine across the bridge, and did all the ceremony with it. Because of that, the historic Fort Wayne, Indiana, said we want the 767 to be on the in our park when the when nickel plate started steam. Because of that, this crew member said, "This is rusted. The engine I like the best is still stored in the roundhouse, and it's nice. And I want to save this before it goes to scrap." This was a really good running engine, different stuff. They just changed the numbers on the locomotive. They left the builder plates. That's how they found out about it. Hardly, and also some rumors came up, and they found out because it was 765. They actually renumbered all the plates instead of the builder plates, 767. And because it's the anniversary of that, they put the 767 on. And they're doing the Steam in the Valley this year, like every year, and it's all sold out. Though I'll be chasing it, and taking video for YouTube, for my YouTube page and everything.
Did you say they were going to scrap it?
They scrapped this they scrapped the 767.
Oh, way back when. Yeah, you don't see anybody scrap a locomotive these days.
No, not the steam engine. So, this engine was they were going to scrap it, and it was too much rusted. It was stored outside for a long time. The guy decided to renumber his favorite locomotive, that was the 765, to 767, so his engine could be restored or put in display, saved.
Yeah, 765 is a great locomotive. I haven't rode behind it, but I have seen it. It's a pretty locomotive. It's a Burke. The L&N ran a lot of Burkes. I like those.
Yeah, that's probably between the Pennsylvania Railroad and then the nickel plate. Those are probably my two top. One of my favorites. The nickel plate is one of my favorites railroads though of the time period. So it's gonna be a fun chase.
Well, the nickel plate's one of those fallen flags that come under the NW's ownership in the '60s. So I gotta have respect for the heritage.
Yeah, and also they took over before it came under N&W. They came one of my local railroads. I'm on a branch of it though nowadays though. And also I'm close to their main line. Originally, the Wheeling Lake Erie.
Yeah, WLE. WLE and PNLE are both, I think, very modelable railroads that people don't model enough of. I mean, PNLE and WLE had some great, big, articulated steam locomotives. Cool railroads.
Yeah. The nickel, what's pretty cool is because it was originally the local Wheeling Lake Erie tracks. It originally was Wheeling Lake Erie. Then it came under nickel plate N&W. Then Norfolk Southern, and then finally back to Wheeling Lake Erie. And it went a full cycle. What other railroad can you say this line actually went through a full cycle in company names?
Yeah, ownership changed a lot during those time periods. A lot of those, my beloved N&W had the strongest leadership, the largest shareholder was the Pennsy Railroad for a long time. So when they went to CTC, they're using position line signals like the Pennsy did. And they did a lot of things the way the Pennsy did. So I get to do a lot of the cool Pennsy things, but still get a model of the cool independent railroad that was the Norfolk Western.
The Norfolk Western came pretty big after the steam era, and the Pennsy and the Penn Central kind of block. They came pretty big for a little while.
Yeah, the N&W was a huge railroad under the steam generation. Had a lot of respect because they were the last mainline class one to run steam. They ran steam all the way up until 1960.
Yep.
Which is a lot of the reason that I model them, that I fell in love with them, because I fell in love with steam power, which is part of my fascination with narrow gauge here recently, and why I've kind of got this wild hair to build the profile like this. I want to be able to be a small, a micro layout style, shelf layout style, little narrow gauge switching layout in SN3 or ON3. I'm looking at both.
You know, it would be
Speed
perfect.
though.
No, it'd be perfect if I don't know if there's any lumber railroads like logging railroads out by you or anything
There
where you're
was.
modeling you could model a logging railroad or something.
Yep, that's what I want to do is model a logging line. That there's several logging lines that haul a little bit of coal, but a lot of logging equipment. Norfolk and Western actually owned a small logging line not too far from where I model. They had shut it down by 50, so I can't model it on this layout, but I could at another scale because I want to model an earlier period. I want to model the late 20s, early 30s era, probably the early 30s of a logging railroad, and I could model that railroad that was also under N&W ownership because it was a narrow gauge railroad. But there's not equipment for it at all. So if you're really going to do any narrow gauge U.S. prototype narrow gauge, you either have to do a tremendous amount of scratch building, which is fine. I'm not afraid of. Or you've got to model one of the mainstream lines like the East Broad Top up in that area, or a Colorado style. And after visiting Colorado last year, I've kind of got a little bit of a fascination with doing a Colorado style narrow gauge.
So would be actually kind of cool, like between your um you're kind of like what you said with your peninsula going up. It's kind of like Josh NS Modeler 24 did with the big train going around up to the top. Is that how you're trying to do with your peninsula?
Similar, but what I've actually done is hide the helix in it. So it's still double deck, even on the peninsula, but one of the, or actually two of the helixes are stacked at the end of the peninsula. So as you come around the front of the peninsula on the top, on the middle deck, the tracks divide. The clinch field goes down a couple turns of a helix, and out the other side on the bottom deck, on the lower deck, and then the N&W goes and makes a couple turns upwards and goes above the clinch field on the top deck as they divide, and one heads south and one heads a little bit north. So
if it's going to be a giant mountain, you could probably between the levels, even if you just had just so you were a little bit interested and you just wanted to loop a track, you could or even some sidings, you could staging yard, you could probably put it in the middle of the peninsula, a little logging railroad or something.
it wasn't there on the prototype. It can't be there on the layout. If I build a little narrow gauge, it'll go in the office. At the office or in another room, I've got a little area. It's just I'm just going to build. I may not even do it. I've just got a little wild hair to build that little shelf.
Perfect would be like a Lance Midheim almost not industrial. You're in country by then though. Like a one industry layout. Even if you did like the sawmill, or even if you did the logging camp, and you had a couple minutes of operating sessions on this little railroad with a staging yard, a little like shelf staging yard, fiddle staging, one track.
Yep, it'll have a little staging. I've got a little bit of a track plan. I'll show you in just a second for it. I stole it from somebody else somewhere along the way. But I've got a little shelf track plan that I've liked. I think it was originally a New England 2-foot gauge plan, but it just seems perfect for what I want to model. I'll have it for you in just a second. I'll show you.
Yeah, while you doing that, Professor's got on here, Andy. Good to hear. Consider looking at the Rachel, Georgia track plan on Carl's ARENDTS small micro layout website.
Oh yeah. I don't know that particular plan, but I'll go look at that. I'm familiar with that, of course, with that site. So
he's also saying alternatively, look at modifying Carl's CAS micro layout plan.
Oh,
and it depends
wow.
on what part of the logging line you want to focus on. Read through Carl's How to Design Micro article, which explores the thought process behind the CAS micro plan.
Absolutely.
One industry logging layout Google Hull Oaks sawmill.
But I think I've seen that one. I've got to go look at that one too, though. 'Cause, I mean, the Cass Railroad in West Virginia, I'm just fascinated with. It's an incredible railroad. Shay locomotives. I mean, what's not to love about it?
Yeah, Google Dawson Station for a cracking N-scale Hull Oaks switcher.
It's didn't they like wasn't it like interchange the cast? Didn't they interchange with like the CNO or something?
Yep. Yep. And I think at one point they were owned by the CNO, or CNO had shares in them. But yeah, they interchanged with CNO standard gauge line, and then when the CNO pulled out, it basically shut the cast down, and the state of West Virginia bought it and turned it into a scenic railroad as a national park. That's how it exists today. And the cast is an incredible, I mean, still to this day, it's one of the incredible scenic railroads on this side of the country. I mean, it's
Yeah,
hard to,
one of these days I'm gonna have to head out there.
yeah, you got to go around the
Yeah,
cast.
Dawson Station also has many YouTube clips.
Oh, okay. I'll go look that up.
Okay, I'll
I
let you
saw
guys
that
go for
track-
tonight.
All right,
What's
Mr.
that,
Say
Hawks?
good night, everybody.
All right, Mr. Hawks, have a good night. Appreciate you coming in.
Okay, take care, everyone.
All right, bye.
I saw that track plan, Andy. That did look like a main 2-footer or something.
Yeah, it says ON2 on it. It's Franklin and Somerset or something. It's something
Yeah.
I stole off of somebody that was going to model it for a New England prototype. But it was just a fascinating plan. It's got it's got staging. It's got the ability to hook it to each side, have a little bit of through traffic if you ever extended it to do more. But it has the ability to bring 2 railroads or 1 railroad through and a branch off. It's got a turntable, a little engine house. It's a river port dock. It's got so many things going for it. And I typically design my own plans and don't steal plans out there. Although, good artists borrow, great artists steal. So I have no problem stealing some other plan that I like.
What's that guy that's in Green Railroader, he last year I think was, and also he's always on the photo side, and he occasionally has articles on my Railroader. Does it end in the main 2-footer railroad layout? That's pretty
Not
nice
Dave
layout.
Frary. You talking about Dave Frary?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he modeled a lot of the main 2-footers. Now he's kind of fascinated with the, I think, 2-foot gauge.
Maybe it is.
They're narrow gauge either way, but he's fascinated with these Cuban sugarcane railroads now. But he always modeled the main
No.
2-footers.
It's a different. If you look in the last issue, this guy he's in a like Florida or something with the different thing, and he uses tab on card system. I remember right. That's the only thing he's said about, and he's more of a lone wolf operator. He's
Yeah. Andy, Professor Scott here. Andy, I have some extensive planning already in place for a more proto-accurate retention of cast than the Carl A. Colonel idea. Have the depot built and the water tank in progress.
Oh, I'd really look forward to seeing that. Of course, I love a lot of the work on the Brooklyn 3 a.m. I've said to many people, anybody with these arguments that size is the reason they can't build a railroad, or like I said earlier, if size is the reason you can't operate your railroad, you're looking for an excuse, because there's no argument. You can build a railroad that'll slide under a bed or lean up against a wall, and it be an entirely satisfying railroad to build and operate.
It's also dependent on how many crews you want. You can't have like 110 crews in a little bedroom.
A micro layout is a sole man or 2 people operating experience, probably, and I'm not looking for that. For this little shelf layout, I just want something to do by myself.
Yeah, Professor, kind of going back here a little bit. You say a cast was sold to Moore Lumber, 1956, was going to be sold to the scrapper and was saved by the state of West Virginia. And,
Yeah, that's where they turned it into a national
yeah.
park.
Also, he said, happy to talk Cass and mall transition anytime. Uh,
Yeah, I'd love to talk to you more about Cass. I'm fascinated by Cass. It just have been for a long time. It's a fascinating railroad.
yeah,
Fascinating
Yeah.
history.
he also goes, check Tony K's Wingate plan. Can support over 8 crews on a 8 by 2 foot scene plus
Wow.
staging.
Where
Wow.
need to put the link on the things for the track plan. And stuff.
I'm going to go look some of them up. I copied that whole line of. There's a few of those I've heard of and that I'm familiar with, but not all of them. So I've got to go do a little research, especially if anybody's done any serious work with Cass. I've seen some moderate sized railroads that try to capture the flavor of Cass, or even try to do subservice in modeling Cass. Never one that was extremely accurate, and never have I seen one that was done in a micro layout, shelf layout style like what I would like to do with my narrow gauge. I've got a decent sized railroad in progress for my class 1 mainline operation stuff that for keeping a couple people busy. But the idea of doing a 14-inch, 16-inch by 8 feet or something in 2 pieces would be.
Professors also got here. Don't say a small layout can't support multiple crews. It's
I
very
agree.
doable. And also see the Mall Railroad publication 1995 for the Wingate plan.
Okay.
My plan can be squeezed to a 4 by 1, but it
Wow.
can't breathe in 8 by 1. But can breathe in 8 by 1.
It's amazing what you could do in a small space. There's no argument. If all you got to do, go Google micro layout. It's amazing what these guys are doing. Just amazing.
Yeah.
My layout supports about 3 people. Though I'm running as dispatcher and passenger operator because of my aisleways. I actually have a throttle at the dispatcher panel. I run the passenger trains. So yeah, it's interesting what you can do. Like Travis Marshall's layout.
Trevor Marshall. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of his track plans he's got on that website of his. He has that little website.
Yeah, he has a list of achievable track plans, is what he calls them. And I love the use of that word. I've used it a few times in my columns. We have these dreams of these layouts that are never possible.
Yeah.
You could never build. I love the use of the word achievable. It's possible for one human to build it and bring it to some level of completion in a reasonable lifetime. And I haven't found a vampire rate or focus around St. Paul, Virginia, this very town that I'm modeling. It's so modelable. It's 2 railroads crossing across each other in a small and sharing the main line for a short section of track with interchange yards on both sides that are 3 tracks. It's perfect for modeling.
Yeah, that sounds really perfect. Even if you just did that one town with a staging yard for each railroad.
That's all I'm doing for right now. One town right now.
Yeah,
that would be
Professor's got here. Wingate supports the 8-hour shift operation of the entire NKP Frankfurt sub that Wingate Industry is located on.
Oh, yeah, the nickel plate. That's like, who'd he say? Whose layout? Is he talking about Tony Custer's?
No, he doesn't.
Let me go.
I think that's that. Look in the previous comments. I think that's for that micro layout or something.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, right. Well, yeah, okay. So he's talking about Tony Custer. He's talking about a Wingate plan that he has for 8 crews on an 8 by 2 foot seam staging. And Tony Custer is he's talking about Tony Custer. I figured he was Tony K. And especially if you talk about the nickel plate railroad, Tony is the man. I mean, he's the guy who originally, back when he was modeling the Allegheny Midland, he started the Nickel Plate Historic Society. He is Mr. Nickel Plate in my mind. He is, and I'm sure he's got plans. His railroad in his basement now is a huge point-to-point timetable and trade order operation of a division of the Nickel Plate. But it's a huge 500-foot mainline railroad. But if anybody could design a small railroad, take into account nickel plate operations, it'd be Tony Custer.
Yeah, he what did yeah, also prototype way bills and everything though. What did I want to say? I now forgot. Um, it's just oh, he's for some reason you always say they're pretty like in the background, like they're usually just on those model railroad guys. He's actually on the Facebook nickel plate model railroad Facebook group. Actually, you see him post a little bit.
Yeah,
Actually,
he started all that stuff for the nickel plate. I mean, he started the Nickel Plate Historic Society. Uh, I spoke to him briefly at the NMRA convention, and he's a nice fella. I mean,
yeah,
and
yeah,
he's my first love of model railroading or whatever. My first model railroader I ever got back in the late '80s. He was on the cover of the Allegheny Midland, and I fell in love with steam, Appalachian modeling. You know, I modeled diesels for a very long time. First gen diesels because I couldn't afford steam power. You know, back in the '80s and '90s, you were buying brass to have anything that was worth having and massively modifying it.
yeah.
And so I did diesel, but I loved the steam from back then.
I was just going to have my first I was just getting into operating my homeland. I was at the national convention when I came here a couple years back, and came to nearby me, and I talked to him there, and actually had some of the paperwork we went over. I actually had him go over it.
He's a nice guy. He was a really nice guy.
Yeah, yeah. I got to sit with. When did I sit with him for lunch? I forget though. I did sit with him and the guy who we had a video on him a couple layout backs though. He's a Mara craftsman and was also MRA magazine, MRC. He's the editor.
Yeah, RMC. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Railroad Model Craftsman. He was editor RMC for a while before he joined the combat staff over at Model Railroader, and he was at the Model Railroader booth at the NMRA's where I spoke to him. And other people were trying to speak to him, so I didn't want to take much of his time. So I just spoke to him 2 or 3 minutes and said it's
yeah,
good to see him. And, his railroad, he's a dyed-in-the-wool model railroader. He didn't get into the industry and stop modeling. He tore the Allegheny Midland out years ago and built that nickel plate railroad kind of in the flavor of the Malby route. It's 12-inch wide shells, very operation-centric. It's an exceptional railroad.
yeah.
So
I think it's really, if you're looking for just so you're getting out into more you really want to get more prototypical, like with prototype way builds and stuff. Look his layout up. I think that's really cool prototype layout to look at.
if you're in the TT&TO and the Malmy route, Maumee, which is kind of the father of that style, very narrow, long shells of timetable of TT&TO style operations. The Malmy is the first. Tony Custis is one of the greats in that area, and they prove that timetable trade order is possible on a model layout, although not on a micro layout.
Travis
Conventions I've heard suggest that you need 300 plus feet of mainline track to be able to do TT&TO because of the time. You need time to have to sort out problems.
Yeah, though.
Yeah, the professor's got here, since you're talking about TT. 6-track staging at either end support TT&TO ops, a passenger each way, plus manifest each way,
Yeah.
plus local, plus dispatcher on wind gate. That's a whole 8-hour shift on an 8x2.
Wow.
He said also, I guess, yeah, Tony got into the industry but kept Molly. Now that's rare.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said he's a dyed-in-the-wool modeler. That's why I say that. Everybody gets in the industry and becomes writers, and editors and stop modeling and start tearing layouts out. And I lose a lot of respect for that.
I guess he's saying go see Bill Darnberry, Marie route.
Yeah, Bobby Route. Bill Darby. Bobby Route. Yeah. He's the father of that style of design. And I've been following the Bobby Route for, I mean, it's been talked about for the last 15 years or 20 years. So long time. I've been following it a long time.
Yeah, I've read some of the articles on that and stuff on the mommy route.
At Operations Roadshow, that
Yeah,
modular railroad.
that's actually I got to operate that at that convention that one time, and that was a real actually that's one of the funnest railroads I've operated
Yeah,
on.
that's based on the Wabash.
Yeah,
Wabash Cannonball. It's just hard to not sing along to a catchy tune while you're trying to run trains. So
yeah,
it's a great railroad. It was at the NMRA convention this year too.
yeah.
It's a great railroad.
So when I really was following more of Tony Custard, the late since his prototype waybill system, like the car carts and waybills, that's what he's like kind of like one of he's using the prototype waybills and the plastic sleeves or in a waybill pouch.
Yeah, he's been doing it that same way for a long time. When it comes to operations, railroad operating systems, the guys I'm more fascinated with are like Dave Ramos, that has the New York Harbor layout
Yeah.
up in, I think he's in Jersey or somewhere, but that are using a kind of a different style of operating, or the guy on Ryan Anderson's Model Railcast show, that podcast show, who's been talking about this railroad operating system that he's designing and releasing here soon, and I am just chomping at the bit for, called From Here to There, which is a take on from car cards, but adds more randomness into the operation. I wouldn't call it randomness. It's more variety.
Typical.
Yeah, it's more variety. So every train entering the layout is not entering the layout in the reverse order that they left the layout in. It's different cars all the time, going to different places. It just requires a little more manual work to get there.
I might try that out. Like right now, I also on my back burner, I want to try out JMRI just to try it out on my HO test layout. I might try that out too.
JMRI is the bust. I mean,
Professor has got down here too. TO.
Yeah, timetable train order. Yep.
Yeah, needs time. Hold on. Time can be interjected into ops in many different ways.
I agree.
All linear track distance is not the only way to add time distance to a run.
Doggone it, Prof. Why you got to be right all the time? All the time. All right. I get it.
Hey, that's the reason why we call him the professor.
I get it. I agree with you. The typical attitude is that a small layout can't do TT and TO. And I agree it's accomplishable through a lot of mechanisms to get there. You've got to pull a train into staging and, stand on your head for 10 minutes, and then you can head out, or, there's a lot of ways to do it. For the typical linear railroad, you need distance. It's not that you need the distance. It's that you need the time that the distance gives you.
Yeah, with his comment, I think like putting water stops in your run and slowing down the operating session will make timetable and training work. Like I'm not going to do that on here on my railroad though. Travis Marshall's. I'm always going to go back. If we're talking about timetable and train order, I'm always going to go back to his layout too, because I've read so many of his blog posts. So he's doing timetable and train order effectively, and he's running 2 or 3 trains a session, depending on his crew size.
But it's not a challenging operation. What I'm going for, what a lot of people who want to do TT and TO want, is not exactly that they want the TT and TO. They want the challenge of the engineer having to figure it out instead of the dispatcher telling everybody what to do. See, with the dispatcher car card waybill system, you basically show up and you're a machine. You just go through the paces of getting the work done. You don't have to think about it. You do, but not as much. You don't have to problem solve. You do, but not as much. But with TT and TO, the onus of operating is entirely on the guy with the throttle. He has to figure out, do I have enough time to get to the next station? He has to make every decision about what to do with his train. And that's awesome for operators. That's what we love.
Yeah, what I'm doing is kind of I'm doing manual blocking, though I'm also doing what's it? I'm just running with train orders. I don't have a timetable for my railroad. I've thought about it. Actually, originally when I designed the layout, I actually was trying out when I first started timetable and train orders for a little bit with a timetable. I had a rough timetable, so I decided to drop that. So I don't know yet. So I think yeah, it's interesting what you can get into a small space. And
There's a
definitely
lot of ways to skip cat. There's a lot of ways to operate. A lot of fun can be had in a lot of different ways. There's no one size fits all. There's no one answer. My railroad done some funny business anyway. It has CTC, but it's so timetable. It's TTTO with CTC. So it's
Well, I'll tell you what, we're kind of getting close to the bewitching hour here.
it's good. I still got to go back to work for a while.
Yeah, and we're going to leave this a little bit of a mystery and maybe pick up next week on micro layouts. What
That'll bring the
else?
prof back.
Huh?
That'll bring the prof back. That's his
Yeah.
area.
Well, got one last comment from him. Oh, excuse me. And that is, I'm more frequently wrong than I am right on anything.
All of us that like to run our mouth have that consequence,
Yeah.
prof.
I don't think so. Shoot. Let me get back over here a second. All right. With that said, what I'm going to do is I want to say thank you to the people on the panel. Professor, it's always good to have you back in. Dude, hopefully you're still here. Maybe we'll have an after show going. See you again. Appreciate you coming in. Train Room Gary, he was here tonight. Want to say thanks to Dave, John, D. Let me get back on up here. Tony, glad to see you made in, and Mark, Greg, Lee, Paul. Oh yeah, can't get Big Bill. Yeah, the boss. Let's see, who else do we have in here? Curtis was here. James, appreciate you being here. Want to say thank you to everybody, huh?
Yeah, Lee was here for a little bit. Curtis.
Yeah.
Just awesome.
Want to say thank you to everybody on the panel. In here we had Mr. Hawks and Andy Newcastle. Appreciate y'all being here. Jim popped in for a few minutes too, so appreciate you coming in. So, I want to say keep checking in on the YouTubeMileBuilders.com website for all the latest news and info on Tuesday night presentations, the eMag, and live show schedules. The live show is once every month. We just had one last Saturday. In fact, that was a double header. Earlier in the day, we had a special show with Kathy Millet over in England. And then later that night was the live show. And the eMag is bi-monthly. And the Tuesday presentations are twice a month now. And Thursday's general hangouts, as everybody knows, is each week. You can go to the website, YouTubeMileBuilders.com. Sign up for the eMag so when it comes out, which it just came out here, maybe a week now it's been out. JD and his crew do a great job on that magazine. They got a good product. You'll get an email notification when you sign up, so when the mag does come out, you'll be notified by email. That is a PDF, so you can download that, put it on your phone, tablet, laptop. That way you got it with you wherever you're at. Got a few minutes to do some reading. It's good. It's a good read. Want to say thank you to everybody for participating tonight. Had another good show. And I hope everyone has a good weekend. And we'll see y'all later. As I say, well, one last thing is all the shows, the Tuesday, Thursday, and the Saturday shows, they're all at 8 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. I need to look at my times. So be sure to check your time zone. And our live shows Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday night are recorded, and they're on the YouTube channel, YouTube Mall Builders. So if you missed the show, you can go back and read it again, be able to watch it, see what you missed. And have a good night, good weekend. We'll see you next week.